everyone, today I'm gonna be criticizing Balázs's work. No, well, all of our work. I'm gonna go through all the tanks in the showroom and I'm gonna tell you what I would change. The reason for this video is for you guys to see that there's always place for improvement in an aquarium. If you've had your tank running for months, you don't want to rebuild it yet, but you want some change, you can do it. You can always do some new things in an existing tank. I'm gonna start out with Balázs's Brazilian style layout. First things that I didn't like from the very beginning, there's a huge gap on this side. The rocks have been built right to the glass on the left side and the right side is empty. I didn't discuss this with Balázs, but I think his reason for this was to have a continuance in the reflection. And that's a good idea, that if you only have the plants in the reflection, the tank looks wider, but just a slight piece of rock should almost touch the glass to have the same effect on both sides, in my opinion. The other thing is, the plants have been let way too loose. Some plants are too big, some plants are in places where they shouldn't be. Obviously, the main goal of a Brazilian style is to mix a lot of plants in certain areas and let nature do its own thing with placing those plants. You do the initial planting, but after that the plants take over each other's place. That's normal, but you should control it. For example, this piece of rotella shouldn't be here in the front. That should be only in the backside. Some rotellas again in here. The main problem with those is that you can actually see the bottom part, which is never nice on a stem plant. Second one, it was built by the master, by Juan Puchades, so I'm a bit worried.
So we are gonna take risk, right?
Okay, yeah, I love risk.
We're gonna take risk.
I think the biggest issue of this tank is if someone builds an aquarium and someone else maintains it. This is the case in this one. I've been with Juan when he built this. I've been with him when he planned it in the dojo, and I remember his original idea, and it's not that in this case. The plants took over the hardscape and it lost most of its impact. There's way too much moss on the rocks. The Monte Carlo sort of died out. We have some left, but they should be hanging down from the edges of the rock. So the tank originally had a really nice flow coming from this corner to the other back side. And now it looks like there is a wall and then there is a step in the middle and there's nothing behind it. It goes right to the glass, and actually that part should be hidden. You shouldn't see the edge of that step or the back side of the step. So only solution, Juan, please come back, get this tank in order. Now this is an interesting one. This is Balázs's latest work, I think. It's a tank that I would change if I had it in my living room, but the tank has been built in competition style and there is a huge difference. So my problem is, when I look at it, is that I see a separate layer of wood and a separate layer of stones in the back, and it's really unnatural. But Balázs showed me a photo which I think he took with his phone, but then properly edited, and it's sort of what you would send to a contest. And the effect he wanted to achieve is perfectly visible, and it all makes sense. And that's when you have to separate if you build for competition or you build for yourself. I would say that most of the competition style tanks don't really look nice in person. What I would change is I would mix some stones in the front, and I would mix more wood in the back, but only if this would be just a piece in my living room and not something for competition. Now, the 650, which Viktor and I built over a year ago, and I think Viktor just updated it a bit. Main issue, fish. There's lots of them inside. It's always a debate, it's up to taste, how many fish people want. I think I usually use more fish than most people would do, especially in competition style, but this is way too much, even for me. Other than that, this is a really nice any layout. It would need a big maintenance. I think I can see a lot of roots sticking out because of the really old plants inside. The other thing is I'm missing a big piece of wood from here, and I think it was actually there when we built it. I'm not sure what happened with the adjustments that Viktor just made. The middle white part is way too big for the tank. It should close up much more, but without being too overwhelming. The 450, I think it's quite an old tank now as well. I wouldn't change anything on the basic idea. It looks really nice. The hardscape still looks good. The plant's grown in really nicely, but it would need small adjustments to keep it running for longer. I think we will take this tank apart really soon, so there's no point of changing now. But if we wanted to keep this running for years, then some plants would need replacement. For example, I see a piece of microzorum here that started rotting. I don't know why. Also on the top part, you can see some moss dying. What I hate about this tank, and I told it to Balázs from the very first moment, is that he has put tillandsias on it. They're so out of context in this tank. All the plants are from different areas where tillandsias would grow. They just don't make sense to me. But again, up to taste. The 90 Walkaround #1. I think it's still too new to see what needs to be changed. I mean, the original plan is coming out really nicely. You could put plants on the stick out bits, again, up for taste. When we built it, I actually told it to Viktor that we should put some plants on it. But now that I see it coming out and all the bottom part, the aquarium part is really green with all this moss, and the top part is just dried out wood, it looks really good, I think. I wouldn't change a thing on this tank. Well, that's not true. The fish, again, I don't even know what these are, but they look fake to me. I know they're natural, so they are not those kind of fish where they inject them with color and they get like crazy pink and so on. These are completely natural fish. This is just too much for my taste. Walkaround #2, my Iwagumi layout. Two things. Under this big rock, there's so much shadow that none of the plants that have been put in here, which is AC Cuba and Acicularis, none of them survived. I think we should put in there some Staurogine repens. It would be fine, or maybe some crypt green parva. The other thing, the curvature of the soil. I don't know if I screwed this up while building or the flow made this shape when there was not so many plants in the beginning, but that would make fixing actually on all sides. It's not an easy thing to fix, but not impossible. So yeah, maybe we're gonna give it a go later on. the high 45. Don't tell Balázs, but this is one of my favorite tanks in the showroom at the moment. I think it's perfect, the ratios, the plants, everything. Only thing which is not his fault, I've just spotted that one of the Anubias started to drop its leaves. Maybe it needs some adjustments on fertilization or something like that. But yeah, nothing to really change on the tank. Puchades Iwagumi. My main issue with this is there is too much space on the top for me, so it should be leveled much higher on the back side, in my opinion. And sort of the same problem with rocks themselves. For me, they're not high enough, they're not sticking out of the carpet enough. Again, this tank needs some adjustments on fertilization, definitely, because I can see that some of the Monte Carlo is turning black. Even us, we suffer a bit in the beginning of summer. The showroom is climated quite well, but still we have some fluctuation of temperature, and yeah, these are challenging times, and this tank shows it quite well. We need to take much better care of it in the coming weeks. Next up, the Dutch style tank built by Erkut and Balázs. It's perfect for what it is. It's a really nice Dutch style. I can't really find any issues with that. My main problem with this tank is that it is a Dutch style. It's, I know this is controversial. It's, again, a thing for anyone's taste. For me, these tanks are a bit boring. There's not much dynamic in it. I'm really a hardscape guy. I love when hardscape is really visible and really dominant in a scape. Doesn't matter what style of tank it is. Here we are at Balázs's, was it the low-tech inspired tank, which the layout that could run in low-tech environment, which obviously doesn't in the showroom. Only thing I miss is something from the back. Maybe some stem plants, but more likely some long grass types, so like Vivipara or Cyperus helferi, which I think Balázs would have used as well if it wasn't in the tank next to it. We try to avoid things like this. Really simple tank, really simple layout, something I would love to have at home, just looking at it, low maintenance. The next 60p, sort of the same as the previous one. Easy, simple layout, low maintenance. I think it's just simply overgrown, and most of the hardscape is not visible anymore. It's hidden by moss. I would like it a bit more clean. And maybe the Cyperus in the backside is too much now. It could use a bit of picking, but yeah, that's it. Other than that, simple 60, really good. Next up, my 60p Iwagumi, the Ricardia only setup. Might sound weird, but I wouldn't change a thing. This really perfectly turned out as I imagined from day one. The plants are not overgrown, but there's enough green in it. Let me know what you would change in this setup, because really, for me, it's great. Last one, my Scape line as a tank. Way too fresh to give any real judgment on it. It's about 2 weeks old. The plants have not even properly developed yet. Only thing I see is I've planned to use 2 pieces of Nympha Lotus. I ended up using 1 because it seemed enough before fill up, and now I see that it definitely needs another one, so I'm just going to put it in. Some people asked if I don't miss the moss that was on the original plan. Most of the wood was covered in moss, but no, this is green enough for me, and as mentioned earlier, I like to see quite a bit of hardscape in the tanks. I don't want to hide any more of the roots in this layout either. So this is it. This was my opinion. Everyone's taste is different. If you don't agree with what I said, or you have some other ideas that you would change on any of these tanks, please let us know in the comments below. And this is it for this week. See you next time. Goodbye.